On behalf of Canadian Muslim News, here we have producer Ali Khalaf and co-host Samia Syed. We would like to wish you a happy Eid Mubarak. We hope that Allah accepts our fasts and grant us paradise. I'll share with you a hadith from Imam Ali. The fasting person has two moments of joy: when he or she breaks his fast and when he or she meets his or her Lord. Today, we have a very special interview with an Edmonton MLA, which means Member of the Legislative Assembly, Honourable Rodrigo Loyola. Assalamu alaikum, Honourable Rodrigo Loyola.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, you just heard my introduction about the unique trajectory. Obviously, a lot of people have heard about Islam, and those politicians don't mind attacking it during their campaign. You've done something completely different. How did you encounter Islam from a personal, spiritual point of view?
Well, ever since being an adolescent, I was introduced to Muslims in the community, as well as studying history, some very notable figures that have had a considerable impact in my own life. And one of them was, of course, Malcolm X. And of course, later on, I came to learn that, well, the Nation of Islam is a little bit different than Islam. But having read the autobiography of Malcolm X and how he moved from Nation of Islam to becoming what we know commonly as Islam and being a Muslim, and what his journey was, it impacted me a lot. Being somebody who was always focused on social justice, of course, was one of the reasons why I identified with his story. And but of course, it was also other Muslims in the community surrounding me that eventually led me on a path to wanting to discover more about it.
So tell us about those interactions with the Muslims in the community.
So before actually being elected, I was part of several interfaith conversations and dialogues with other people in the community. I met several Muslims, and I just admired their character very much. And then after being elected to office, I found that I was being more and more surrounded by other Muslims. For example, I hired a Muslim assistant in my office. And then slowly I started being introduced more and more into the community, where I started going to the Juma prayers just to greet people while they were going in for their prayers. And I remember one day I was there greeting people, and I met a gentleman who I had previously door knocked back in 2012. And this gentleman said to me on his way in, "Well, why don't you pray with us?" And I thought to myself, okay, well, I was Catholic at the time. So I was like, I believe in God. They believe in God. There's no problem with this. So he said to me, just come sit beside me and just follow my movements. But of course, what was the real impact that day was the fact of hearing the Quran being recited for the very first time, which brought tears to my eyes. I just identified so much with not being able to understand what it said, but still it impacted me very much. And that set off a journey of myself wanting to learn as much as I could about Islam.
How long did that take? I know converts, sometimes it takes them 6 years to decide. Sometimes it's sort of like instant, sometimes, a few months.
Yeah. Well, I should take a step back, because the real introduction to wanting to learn a little bit about Islam, but with the intention of reverting to Islam, was the April 2017 Quebec City mosque shooting. And I remember inviting members of the community to my office and sitting down with them and asking them what I could do to help, because we wanted to make sure a tragedy like that wasn't repeated here in Edmonton. And long story short, to sum it up, the members of the community said to me, "Rod, what we really need is help teaching people what Islam is and what it is not." So that's when I embarked on the journey of actually wanting to learn in concrete details more about Islam. But of course, that paired up with the admiration that I had of people who I had come to know in the community slowly started bringing me on the path of wanting to revert to Islam.
I mean, sometimes when people ask me why I converted, there are all these reasons, but in the end, I don't really know. But, there's one thing, there are a lot of academics who know a lot about Islam and maybe they respect Muslims, but that's different from actually deciding to become one. I don't know if it's too personal, but if you can share the transition from I want to know about it to, ooh, I want to become one.
Yeah, most definitely. So going back to one of the things that was really important for me was the discipline. Since I was a small child, my parents taught me that discipline just makes things easier in your life. And of course, it is a challenge because, not all of us are born perfect and we procrastinate and things like this. But of course, being disciplined helps you complete tasks and be responsible. So the fact that in Islam you have to pray 5 times a day, that discipline of praying 5 times a day attracted me. And then of course the other one that was really important for me was when I found out that in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually calls us to seek knowledge. So what I understood by that was that there's no juxtaposition between faith and science. In fact, Allah wants us to go out and scientifically understand the world around us. And when we do that, we end up realizing how complex life is. And for some people, I mean, I would say that for me as a Muslim, that complexity of life and how, like, for example, human engineering just proves that we have a creator. That you can carry it all the way to as you scientifically research about the universe, right? Like the complexity of it all just for me proves that we have a creator.
Is it a risky or dangerous thing to become Muslim while in political office?
A lot of my colleagues did try to very respectfully dissuade me from reverting at that particular time, because when I reverted was October of 2018, and next year was going to be an election. And they said they were pleading with me. They were like, Rod, please don't do this now, or don't make it public now until after the election. To which my response at the time was, look, if someone's not going to vote for me because I'm Muslim, then I don't want their vote. And I've always felt truly called to really identify with God's call or Allah's call, and to be true to it. And of course, everything that I was reading in the Quran was just resonating more and more and more and more with me, to the point where I felt secure and safe in my faith. And I knew that I wasn't going to be abandoned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, the 2019 election came and went. I was re-elected. But at the end of the day, whether I'm re-elected or not, this is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I welcome any change in my life, because I know that Allah is never going to let me go without. And if this is not the path for me, He has something better in store for me. So
I'm really interested to hear the way you're speaking with Islamic phrases and concepts and all of that. And this is a broadcast that's going to go out on YouTube. So you're really not worried about being identified as a politician in Alberta who's openly Muslim.
No, not at all. I'm very proud to be Muslim, and everything we do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is without question. But also there are some carryovers there. I mean, I want to be able to demonstrate for especially young Muslims that you can be proud to be Muslim in your career, in your profession. You don't have to hide it. That, do your prayers, do them on time, no matter where you are, or as best as you can. And because, sometimes it even happens to me. Sometimes I'll be in a very public place and I'll think to myself, well, should I pray now? Should I save it for when I get home? And no, like I'll give you the example. Sometimes I'm driving through Alberta, like rural Alberta towns, and it comes time to pray, and I'll just pull over to the side of the highway and I'll pray right on the side of the highway. And all these big trucks are going by and everybody's looking at me, but I'm comfortable enough in my faith to do that. And I would hope that others would have that same level of confidence and comfort in their faith. And however they want to do that, right? Like, I mean, I'm not here to judge whether my way is right or not, but I just want them to feel comfortable and confident in their faith.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. I so wish I could ask you more questions, but thank you for being an inspiring role model. Thanks for watching Canadian Muslim News. If you like what we do, please share, like, and subscribe. Stay safe and God bless.